My name is Cameron. I think I've met most or all of you at this point. Except you. And we met at New Paradigm, yes, but I forgot your name. I recognize your face. Deline. Great to see you again. All right, so if we can have the first slides up, it would be great. Rebrand prophecy, the way it started was 6 years ago. I didn't know why Bible prophecy mattered. And I worked a summer at Messiah's Mansion, and there was a guy, his whole job was basically studying Daniel and Revelation all day. And he'd come out of his office and he'd tell me something he learned about the little horn or the ascension year and how it shifts this off 1 year or whatever. And I was like, I sense there's some deep story, something profound under all of this, but I don't get it. And so one day I was like, why does this matter? And he was like, okay, well, let me step back. And he kind of laid out a larger context, background. And I was like, okay, why does that matter? And finally, he stepped out to a much larger context background where I suddenly saw, he was down in the little nitty gritty details of Bible prophecy, of trying to figure out dates and this and that and the other. And suddenly, when he stepped back and laid it all out in perspective, boom, everything he'd been telling me for the last 3 weeks suddenly clicked. And I had one of the most amazing epiphanies of my life. And I was like, this is insane. We have got to make this into something because I've never heard people present Bible prophecy like a story. It's always, it's so many times it's dates and timelines and beasts and symbols and stuff. And you're like, okay, but how does this affect me and my life and my walk with Christ? And I suddenly saw Bible prophecy in a brand new light. And I said, we need to turn this into some sort of Bible Project style animated YouTube series or something to present this to a larger audience. And from that day, I started Rebrand Prophecy. I started Rebrand. That was my summer between my junior and senior year of high school. So I went back for my senior year of high school, and then as soon as I got out, I started Rebrand Prophecy, and it has developed and grown, and God has made it into something that resembles very little of what I have made it into. I had ideas for it, and God has broken and cast down ideas and come up with much better ones. And so it is definitely His ministry. That idea of an animated show over time developed into what is now a much, much larger show called Above. And if we can skip through the slides here, basically why it's called Rebrand Prophecy is because we rebrand prophecy. And if you can switch through some of the slides here. There's some frantic gesturing to me down here. Am I supposed to switch them on a PowerPoint or? Oh, on this phone. Oh, it's locked out though. Okay. You're definitely gonna have to change your password because this is live streamed, right? Okay, great. So Bible prophecy, where we rebrand it from something confusing or intellectuals or just that crossword puzzle section in the back of the book of the Bible, to something understandable and practical, Christ-centered. And so we use art and storytelling to make Bible prophecy easier to share and understand. One of the verses that really guides this is Habakkuk 2:2. It says, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. The messages of Bible prophecy are complex, but we need to put them into packages that are so clear and concise that when people get them, they can run with the message, and it will be presented and can be proliferated very quickly. And so that is really the challenge that we are tackling, is how do we make Bible prophecy, the complex messages of Bible prophecy, simple enough that they can be shared and understood easily in a beautiful way as well. And so, as I said, Above was the name of the show that's come about. it's much different than it was going to be. Before, I thought it was going to be a short YouTube series, kind of like Bible Project. Has any of you seen Bible Project? Okay, awesome. Kind of illustrative animation with a voiceover over the top. So that's what we were going to do. And I think God gave that vision specifically in the beginning because he wants those to be created as well as what it's become. So we're working right now to go back and actually make the videos that he impressed me to make 5 years ago. And then those videos grew into something else called Above. We're still working on that, but in the meantime, we can get those messages out in a simpler format because although those videos are still quite complex, they are much less expensive than the ones we're working on now. Above, oh, there we go, follows the story of God through 7,000 years of history of, well, the world, or I guess you could say the universe. It follows the story of a father who sacrifices everything to redeem his children. And that's really what's at the heart of the show. But then we go throughout, skipping from century to century to century. In each episode, the great controversy narrative is pushed forwards in the background, while we see that moment through the eyes of a single human character. So, just for an example of what that kind of looks like, episode 1, which is the pilot episode that we're working on right now, lays out and kind of introduces all of the cosmic characters in the background. God, Satan, or God, Lucifer at the beginning, Michael, Gabriel, and angels that are close friends but end up on opposite sides of the great controversy. And so that allows us to really look at the great controversy through the lens of the angels and humanity, and see how, like Ellen White talked about, that some angels finally had their last doubts answered at the cross. So we know even for the angels, this whole, even for the unfallen angels, this has been a difficult time, that had a lot of doubts that had to be answered. They were finally answered in full at the cross. And so with those cosmic characters set up in the first episode, then we go on into essentially what's the next significant moment in the great controversy. And then that's where we do the next episode. So the next one, episode 2, is kind of following Adam's story, Adam and Eve. And then following Noah. And then we kind of skip throughout each major event in the background, pushing the great controversy forward while following these characters. We get all the way to Nebuchadnezzar, which is what the show we started out developing was. I thought, before God broke the story at the beginning of this year, I thought that season 1 was going to follow Nebuchadnezzar as the main character for his kind of conversion experience. But God broke that story, and he will still be in the show, and all that information, research that we did will still be useful. But we're going to follow not him as the continuity character, but the angels and God as the continuity characters in the background. Sorry, I was not supposed to spend so much time on this first one, but here's just some of the work over the last 4 years of writing the show. Different environment designs. This is out the back of Nebuchadnezzar's palace. Here's a look at Daniel chapter 3 with the fiery furnace, smoke coming up from behind, and the statue there. Here's one of the concept art, pieces of concept art done by one of the artists of the fiery furnace here, which is actually, that's kind of what they looked like. They had steps. There's actually a few kilns or furnaces that ruins of still exist in Iraq, that area. And from what we can tell, they looked pretty much like this. They had these kind of steps up each side, and the furnaces weren't made for Daniel and his 3 friends, or sorry, Daniel's 3 friends. They were actually construction kilns for the building project there. of the monument around the statue and anything that they need. And then they were just used also for capital punishment as well on the side. So um, they would put the bricks in on the top. They'd stoke the fire and put all the fuel in. They would harden the bricks, and then they take all the bricks down the stairs on each side. Um, and here's the view from inside the fiery furnace, looking out at Nebuchadnezzar. And here is Nebuchadnezzar when he turns around and is quite surprised to see that there's 4 people in the fire, not just 3. If you can play the first video, this is a sample animation. It's not completely, this was done like 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago at this point, and the show has developed a lot. God has, changed some things, but as of yet, this is the closest thing that we have to demonstrate kind of the style of the show. However, Nebuchadnezzar won't have such a. I'm going to be recasting his voice actor. I guess that doesn't matter because you can't hear him anyway. It's fine. It's fine. You don't have to hear. Well, if you can actually at this point get the audio, that'd be awesome. And then we just kind of cut it off as a cliffhanger. So it's just a sample animation. The that episode is probably kind of deeper into season 1. So we have to produce the pilot episode and then the rest of the show, the rest of season 1. So I'm hoping, currently we're on schedule to hopefully have the pilot episode out in about a year and a half, which is much longer than I wish it could be, because Jesus is coming soon. But it's God's timing, so if He wants it faster, I'm sure He can make that happen. But in the meantime, because the show, the vision for the show is basically these messages of Bible prophecy are complex. They take a long time to deliver, and people don't sit down to watch sermons anymore. I mean, not there are people who sit down to watch sermons, but there are many people out there, especially in North America, who might not even step foot in church, and who don't really stop to listen to anything of great length unless it's a movie or a TV show. For many people, unfortunately, there are many people who the only time they really take time to process or experience something at length is